Hey guys, happy Saturday. Hope everybody's weekend is going good so far. And hello, Krista. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I'm very excited about this show, but honestly, I think I had some bad pizza today, and it is such a thing, a bad pizza, but my stomach is just kind of churning a little bit. So
Oh, that's not good.
yeah,
Well, if you got to go, I got it.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
I meant if you got to like go run to the bathroom, I got you.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you all of a sudden see me guys in the middle of a sentence, just mute and black out my screen.
Yeah, we know what Paul's doing.
Every show that we start is always kind of some weird thing happening. Either I'm fumbling something or we're talking about. I brought it up, but
yeah, I just want to say Merry Christmas to Martin Groves. He's in chat. Merry Christmas, Martin.
Hey, Martin Groves. Merry Christmas.
We get to see him in January in Alabama. So
awesome.
We're seeing him.
Cool. Yeah. Looking forward to that. And
before I'm off for like a whole bunch of days. So
must be fun.
Looking forward to it.
I think I'm working straight through to Christmas, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So speaking of Christmas, and if you're looking for the perfect Christmas present for the paranormal loved one in your life, again, this would have been perfect if I would have had it all queued up right at the second I said it. We are doing the Crossing Realms Conference. We're going to be talking UFOs, paranormal and cryptids. December. September 19th and 20th at the Eagleton Civic Center in Richmond, Missouri, right by Ray County Museum. So make sure tickets are on sale right now. They are going fast. Separate tickets for the ghost hunt at night, a celebrity ghost hunt. All of our speakers are going to be doing the ghost hunt. They are going quick too. We only have 8 left?
8 left. Yep.
Wow. Things are moving along. Speaking of speakers, here is the lineup that we have. William Lunsford, Dr. Dean Bertram, Heather Moser, who we will see here in just a few seconds, Greg Ogles, Ronald Murphy, and Lady Ann Celine, Josh Hurd, and Haunted Souls Paranormal and Haunted Garage. They're going to bring a haunted car with them.
They are.
That's going to be awesome.
They are. Yeah.
To see that.
It'll be really cool.
And then special guests will also include Ken Gerhardt, psychic medium Dana Stricker, and Paranormal Portal's Brent Thomas.
Yep.
So $35 to get you into the conference, $75 for the ghost hunt. We will be doing a meet and greet Friday, September 19th from 6 to 9 p.m. Conference will kick off Saturday at 9. It'll go to about 6. Then we'll do the celebrity ghost hunt from 8 at night or 8 p.m. until 2 o'clock in the morning. So get your tickets now. It's going to be fantastic. So I'm looking forward to it.
I am too. I definitely am too. Friday night we have the meet and greet, and that'll be fun, and just sit and visit, and
kind of casual, sitting chatting with the speakers that we have, and all of the Texas Front Porch crew and everything. So it's going to be fun. So make sure if you're in the area, don't miss it. It'll be so much fun, and good. It'll be good to see anybody that comes out too. Put names to some of the people that are in chat. I mean, we've seen Mickey G the last time we were at Ray County, so looking forward to seeing more people.
Yep, and I've reached out to a couple people who live in the area. That a good friend of ours is Katie Stafford. I did reach out to him to see if he would like to come over there. He usually does. He always comes to our stuff. So chances are that they'll be there too. And so we're just going to keep adding special guests as they.
Awesome.
To it. So
cool. Awesome. So got a few new names that I've seen in other chats, but first time I've seen them here. Hey, Paula, Tammy, How you doing? Mickey G, how you doing? Mickey G and Little Patty were first ones in the door tonight. Getting right up in the front. So.
Yeah, I don't know why, but your audio is not very good, Paul.
Again. And I thought we had this internet thing fixed. The feed looks terrible.
Yeah, you keep freezing up and all that good stuff.
Okay, so I'm gonna welcome Heather to the show. Then I'm gonna jump out, reboot, and then come back on.
Sounds good.
Okay, so let's bring Heather up. Hi, Heather.
Hi. Hello.
Welcome to the show. Thank you so much for coming in here tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, awesome. And unfortunately, I got a quick bow out. So, but I will be right back. I will be right back.
All right.
It keeps freezing up on you, Paul, and you look stoned. Do you see how his face gets froze? Is it freezing up for you too? And he's got like this.
It's freezing up for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I figured it was my internet because my internet's usually the problem, but.
All right. Well, I'll be right back, ladies. I'll be right back.
Okay. Sounds good. We got this.
All right.
No, we appreciate you coming on for sure, Heather.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, he wants to talk some Bigfoot tonight, so we can talk some Bigfoot. But before we talk Bigfoot, you are one of our featured speakers at our conference. So everybody in chat, I will drop the link, and if you guys are interested, coming and saying hello to Heather, and you can actually hang out with her on Friday night. So I'll drop the link, and people can get tickets.
Yeah, I'm excited. Excited to be there, and I'm really tickled that Lady Ann's going to be there because I haven't personally seen her in a good while now, and it's time. It's time. Yeah, so, time. Martin, you're so sweet.
Yes, Martin's the best. I love Martin and Sheila.
Yeah, me too. Yes, they're amazing.
Yes, they are.
But yeah, it's going to be a great time in September. I'm super stoked about it.
Yeah.
Thanks for inviting me to that.
Absolutely. We consider you a friend, and that's what we tried to do. This whole conference is we pretty much invited our friends to speak and stuff. So anyway, it's awesome. And I'd like to get you actually back here sometime, maybe it'd be 2026, to do Malvern Manor with us.
Oh yeah, that would be fun.
So Josh Hurd will be there, so you'll be able to meet him and talk to him and stuff too. So
that would be cool. Yeah, for sure.
Okay, is this any better?
Yes.
Good.
Oh, sweet.
Yes. Okay. What did you do?
I don't know. I got out. I restarted my computer and came back. And
okay.
I yelled down some explicit words to my wife, who's downstairs watching TV, and
it's not her fault.
I said the internet is messed up, and she said she knows. So I guess something's happening down there too. So
yeah, gotcha.
I don't know. So
cool.
Good. We're back on track. All right.
Yep. So I'll let you take back over. We were just talking about the conference.
Oh, okay. Cool. Awesome. Yeah. I told you guys backstage that I'm kind of having an awestruck moment here. And I'm not just saying this because you're here, Heather. I'm a huge fan of Small Town Monsters, and I just love the show, and I'm very, very happy that you're here. I really appreciate you coming on here.
Oh, thank you very much. I'm happy to be here, and I'm excited. Always love to meet people who appreciate Small Town Monsters. That's much appreciated by me.
You guys absolutely do great work. You really do.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
It's always a must watch for me.
Yeah, and not just the UFOs or the Bigfoot thing. It's all of it that I think is just fantastic, and you guys just do such a great job with the researching and everything. And I know you're a big part of the researching part of that.
Yep. That's one of my main things that I do is research the different topics. And like right now we're gearing up to hopefully head to Michigan pretty soon. We're going to be doing some recordings for Dawn of the Dogman, which will be coming out. That'll be in our next Kickstarter, 2025 Kickstarter. So I'm deep in the Dogman stuff right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. Do you guys have any plans of going back to like Bray Road or anything like that?
We won't be going back to Bray Road. Yeah, not right now. But this is hopefully going to be reminiscent of Bray Road-esque when it's a
Wow.
finished product. So
Wow.
yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. I got to tell you, so Brandy and I went and we were invited by Haunted Souls to do a ghost hunt at the Emmaus Village, which is only like 30 minutes away from me. And there's a road that goes through there. And I nicknamed it several years ago, Dogman Road, because I had heard about an encounter being over there. Right.
Yeah.
So we were ghost hunting this place. It's a new location. And just walking through, because there's no windows on some of the buildings. It's, they're working on fixing it. But anyway, we actually got a howl, and I sent it to Joe and Jesse to see what they think about it.
Yeah.
Like, it's definitely not any native animals. Like, I really think it's a dogman. I truly do. So we've been invited back, and Paul, I was going to see if you wanted to drag you too out there, but to actually do some.
If I have to,
they're interested in seeing what kind of creatures might be out there, or looking for signs, or and there's 1,200 acres.
Wow.
So I'm pretty excited about that. Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, that sounds.
But
amazing.
we got this howl. We recorded this howl, and it's pretty cool. I got to say, I'm not saying it's a dog man, but I'm not saying it's not either.
Right. That's
So.
Exciting.
And you guys were inside a building doing ghost things.
We were in a long hallway that had some windows missing, and it sounds like it's in a far distance, but that location is only 2 miles from that Dogman Road. So I just think that's really kind of, that I called the Dogman Road and we got this howl. It's just weird.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. And you even did a live there, I think, in between some stuff, that you were just sitting out on like a picnic table or something and kind of looking around in the woods. So, I mean, that would be fun to kind of go back there during the daytime and see if you can.
Well, that's a plan, to spend a weekend there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Camp out and all that good stuff. So awesome. That's a pretty cool location. So anyway.
So Heather, how did you get involved with Small Town Monsters?
So I got involved with Small Town Monsters because Small Town Monsters got on my radar whenever Seth put out the first movie, Minerva Monster. Because I grew up in the town next to Minerva. I currently live in Minerva, but it's all small towns around here. So when somebody makes a documentary about something close to a small town, I mean, everybody talks about it, right? And I've always been interested in Bigfoot. That's something people have talked about around here since I've been little, about people having Bigfoot sightings, it being around. And obviously Minerva Monster being from Minerva, that was in the local memory. And anyway, so I started paying attention to what Seth was doing with Small Town Monsters. And then when he got to Mothman of Point Pleasant, he had added some extra folkloric and historical elements that I really appreciated. And I messaged him and I said, hey, I really like what you're doing here. And we just started to keep in contact after that. And it was closer to the time that he mentioned that they were going to be doing the Bell Witch, that I reached out to him and I said, hey, I've been actually doing research on Bell Witch. What do you think about having a researcher on your team? Somebody that could, that maybe already knows a little bit about this, that could add some extra research skills to your group. And he was like, yeah, actually, I think we could use that for sure. And so Bell Witch is really how I got involved. He had me come on a little bit before Bell Witch because he said, well, let's start with Momo. And so I helped him with Momo. And then there was Mothman Legacy and Bell Witch, but it was because of the Bell Witch story that I got involved.
Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I know you've done a lot with Bell Witch because we've had you on our show and we've talked about that.
Yeah, she's fun.
Yeah.
She's fun.
Yeah, she's fun.
She's not very nice though. She
not nice.
Actually, Martin Groves is in chat and he had an experience with her at the LBL and we were just talking about her.
I know.
Yeah, that's true. So we won't even talk
Martin's very familiar.
Just skip over that portion tonight.
That's awesome. Absolutely. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And sorry, I had to. I looked over and I was froze again, so I'm on my hotspot now. So let's see how this goes. So I don't
Hopefully
know
it works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how long have you been on Small Town Monsters now? And pardon me in
Um,
case you said that.
no, I didn't say that. It's actually, so I started to get involved in 2019, I believe, is when I first started doing research. See, the problem is that when COVID came and shut everything down, my perception of time has been warped. But I'm aware that it was like 2019, 2020-ish when I got involved. Because I remember going to the office to do my interview for Bell Witch or for Mothman Legacy, and that was during the shutdown, I believe. So yeah, 2019 I think is when I started. It's been a little while.
And it's pretty much just become a full-time job for you, correct?
It is my full-time job. I also am I have that as full-time job. I also have a part-time job as well as an adjunct professor at Kent State University.
Nice.
So I have both of those things that keep me busy. But yes, it started as a project thing, and then it became part-time, and then it became full-time. So my inclusion in Small Town Monsters has grown ever since I started.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Larry Sharp. Appreciate you becoming a member to Paranormal Among Us. So appreciate you, brother. And you've been doing even before Small Town Monsters. You've been doing researching and writing before that. Are you a folklorist?
Well, so I do research folklore. I would not call myself a folklorist only because I don't have the degree in folklore. So I feel like I would be stealing that title from people who have the degree in folklore. But yeah, I am a classicist, technically, classical studies. So yeah, but I do study folklore, and I would love to eventually go back to school and actually get a degree in folklore, time permitting, when the kids are older, because I would lose my mind if I tried that now while they're young.
Understand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Understand that completely. What made you want to get into researching and all the folklore and stuff?
So part of what I wanted to do, I've always been interested in the weird stuff since I was little. So that's always been something that I have enjoyed researching, this spooky stuff, the scary stuff. But trying to get into folklore and regional stuff was more of a way for me to look into kind of who I am and where I fit into things. Because my family is from this region of Ohio and West Virginia area. And when I was in college, I remember having a class where we talked about like our family heritage and our roots. Like, what do you do at Christmas time that is part of your cultural heritage? And some people had family members not so far removed from Europe or whatnot, and they had these really awesome stories that they would tell, like, oh, well, I don't know, whatever they would do with the Christmas tree or a special dish that they'd have. And I'm like, man, I don't really have that. I don't know necessarily where my family came from, other than I know we've been here. And so I started researching this part of Appalachia and found out, like, I started to do family history and found out we've been here for many generations. For one, this is my heritage for several generations. And so I started to research the folklore because I wanted to find more of who I am. So that's kind of what it's been, is a search into trying to find some roots here.
That's awesome. And it's so cool. I mean, everybody wants to find that job, and a lot of people have this job that they love to do. And I mean, everybody wants, and I still want to find this job that, you know, you absolutely love what you do, and when you find that, you're not working a day in your life. You're enjoying it, and it seems like you found it.
Yeah, I'm pretty content where I am right now, and I get to research some pretty awesome things. And my favorite part, I mean, aside from the research, is meeting really amazing people, and we've got a lot of really good people in this community, which I don't know how often we get to showcase that, but hopefully we do a decent job when we can, of showing that these people are pretty awesome.
Yeah, I agree. You know, like some of my best friends I've met doing this stuff, crazy.
Absolutely.
I wholeheartedly agree with that. And speaking of great people, thank you, Larry Sharp, for gifting a membership too.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Good job.
Awesome.
So you mentioned meeting a bunch of interesting people. Have you come across any reports of cryptids or paranormal or anything UFOs where it just sounded way too good to be true?
Not so well. See, what I normally do is I try to seek people out more so than have the people come to me. Not, now, the longer that I've been involved in small town monsters, the more I've had people come to me with their experiences, just because I think they know what I do. But prior to that, I was seeking people out more often than not, and that I think helped sift through some of the too good to be true stuff. Because you get almost, I don't want to say vet people, but something similar to that, akin to that. Now, we've definitely gotten, like, I'll get emails every once in a while where people claim that they've got crazy activity on their property, and if we were just to come out, then we would have definitive proof. And I don't know, because it's not something that we can do at the drop of a hat, is just go to someone's house and see what's going on. So maybe they do have crazy activity. I don't know. But I'm trying to think of if I've had anything super outlandish where immediately I'm like, no. But usually if some of it is in the way that people talk to me too. If they start talking to me immediately and it's all about wanting to be on film, then I get a little bit concerned. Because then I'm, more worried about what their angle is in it,
Right.
and
What they're
what
looking
might
to gain.
actually be happening. Right.
Sure.
But more often than not, the people that I come across aren't, they're not looking for 15 minutes of fame or whatever.
Right.
They're not looking to be on a documentary or whatever that may be. They just,
Sure.
they had an outlandish experience, and a lot of people are nervous to even come forward. So, yeah, I guess not often.
I get it.
The weird stuff often.
Yeah, I get it. And that's the thing too, we always say too, like me personally, I have witnessed things that people would roll their eyes at and say like, yeah, right. I mean, I watched literally invisible razor blades scratch a guy, I mean, that's not something that
Oh, wow.
people, and that's a true story. And so my thing is when I hear something that almost sounds outlandish, I'm like, who am I to judge you? Because what I've seen and I know is true, most people aren't going to believe that either,
Yeah.
So that's kind of where
And
I'm
that's
at.
exactly true. Yeah, that's exactly true. Is that once you've experienced one or two weird things, then it's like, okay, well, if that exists, who am I to say that this other thing doesn't exist? Like, it'd be, I don't know. If you believe in one thing, I think it would be difficult to rule out other stuff as well.
Yeah.
Like, what makes it too weird when we're, I don't know.
Right.
Where's that line?
Exactly. No,
and I'm sure you guys do a bunch of pre-interviews before you have them on the show, and you would probably get a big red flag if their story kind of changes just a little bit too as they're recounting it.
Yeah. I've also run into situations where people that have shared their stories before get concerned that we're going to try to like own their story in some way. And I think that also helps. I don't know. To me, that helps legitimize them as well when they're like, wait, it's my story. You're not going to own it now, are you? But apparently that's what happens with some production companies is they'll have you sign a form that says it's their story and you can't repeat it that way again, which is insane to me because it was your experience, your lived situation.
And why that's, if you're telling the truth, that is your story. How could you change it? Then you would be lying.
Exactly. Yeah. So I don't know. That's another thing that when I'm thinking of bits and pieces of things that kind of help me know, like, what's a
Mhm.
green flag versus a red flag. That's one of them, is when people are like,
Sure.
well, wait, if I share this though, I am allowed to say it again, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you are, because it's your
Mhm.
experience. We don't own
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And too, like you said, a lot of times for people, it's therapeutic to get this experience
Yeah.
that they've had off their
Mhm.
shoulders,
Mhm.
and maybe find other people with similar experiences that they can kind of relate to, and share and kind of bond over that.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's another thing too, like you said, the bonding, and it is therapeutic, I think, for a lot of people.
Mhm.
We've had people in documentaries that have been nervous to come forward,
Mhm.
but ultimately the driving force behind it has nothing to do with what we're doing necessarily. It has to do with the fact that they want to finally get the story out there and let someone else know that
Mhm.
they're not alone in their experience, because they
Yeah.
had spent so much time feeling alone and isolated.
Yeah. A lot of
Um,
these, they get, post-traumatic stress,
yeah.
from these encounters. So it is a big deal. And it is, I can see where it's difficult, just not what people think, but just difficult coming out with it because of the traumatic,
Hmm.
encounters that a lot of these are.
Yep.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Have you seen over the past 10 years or so more people coming forward with, whether it's cryptid encounters, UFO encounters, whatever, uh, more so than in the past 30 years, whatever?
I mean, it seems to me that the more we have the discussion in the public eye,
Hmm.
the more likely people are to come forward. So I feel like a big thing when finding Bigfoot started to become big, and then small town
Mhm.
monsters started up, and it became more of an acceptable thing to talk about your Bigfoot encounters. I
Sure.
feel like that kicked off more people coming forward to say, actually, I have had this experience. I've just never told anybody for 30 years or whatever.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, the alien stuff, you can't ignore the stuff that's happening right now with the government coming forward and admitting some things. So now that is becoming, just in the last few years, that's becoming more acceptable for people to come forward. Where a couple years ago, when I was working on like on the trail of UFOs, dark sky, or night visitors, it was a little difficult to find people who were willing to come forward and explain that they had had these experiences,
Mhm.
because it wasn't, even just a couple years ago, wasn't as accepted as it is now.
Sure.
um I'm finding with different cryptids, I think the dog man stuff, because it's getting talked about more now, more people are coming forward. But when we first started doing that, it was tough for me to find people who'd had experiences that were willing to talk about it.
Mhm.
Because I mean, on the surface, when it's not something in the public discussion, how weird does it sound to say, yeah, I saw this in the woods, when most people aren't
Mhm.
even accepting that it exists. So um yeah, I think that definitely the bigger the subject gets overall with pop culture, the more
Mhm.
people are going to come forward. And I think then within our own little bubble that we have, the more that we talk about certain cryptids, the more people are going to come forward and talk about their experiences that they've had, or have a name for it, because some people may not have a name for it.
Sure.
They just know they experienced something weird, and they have their description of it. But until more people come forward with their experiences, they may not even have a name for whatever the entity is that they saw.
Right. And I could see that with the dog man, because there's so many different types. And then you look at, all these other different creatures, the Genosqua, the Gugways. And so, I
Mhm.
mean, honestly, if I would see something, I'd really have to think about what I saw, even knowing what some of these other creatures are and what they look like.
Hmm.
So,
Mhm.
mhm.
Yeah. Thank you
Yep.
very much, Shelley. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank
Appreciate
you,
the
Shelley.
super chat. Thank you so much. Um, so, do you have a show that you've done, produced, hosted, written for on Small Town Monsters that kind of sticks out in your mind? That, man, that was just a great story. It was just one of the best that you've done.
My favorite working on was probably when we did the Rougarou movie. But that's partially because it was my first my first introduction into being able to reach out to witnesses and talk to them and actually get
Mhm.
that connection with
Mhm.
people. I also was able to do the research and write the narration, or assist writing the narration. And that was the most involved that I had been up to that point. So that one holds a special place in my heart. And some of those people, which this happens with every project, but that was like the first project where I made connections that I still have to this day with people. So that's awesome. But then we have situations where like you just get these amazing, not only amazing stories, but you meet these amazing people. Like I'm never not going to be excited that I got to meet Martin Groves and that
Right.
we're friends now. Like he's just an
Right.
amazing human being that I would
Agreed.
have not met any other way except for we
Mhm.
were filming American Werewolves and he agreed to come on and share his story.
Yeah.
But aside from that, I wouldn't have been able to meet him. So just having that opportunity,
Mhm.
meeting like Fred Roll up in Alaska, he was amazing. And then meeting his elder and interviewing her and just having this, like she shared her story because she said she wanted to have it out there before she was gone.
Mhm.
You know, having that opportunity to be in the position to help record someone's story
Mm-hmm.
is just an amazing job. It's an amazing place to be. And it makes me thankful for what I do. But they all stick out in different pieces. I always, whether I want to or not, there's always a favorite person that I meet on each shoot.
Mm-hmm.
So there's definitely favoritism that does happen, even though I adore everybody that we've worked with. But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know. There's, as far as a particular thing, the one that kicked it off for me was definitely Rougarou.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Did you shot that one down in what, Louisiana?
I didn't see, and that's the one I didn't even get to go on that one, but that was down in Louisiana. Yes.
Yeah.
I got to do all the connections and stuff and talk with people on the phone, but I never got to meet them in person. And even though I'm still friends with them, I still haven't met them in person. Thankfully, since then, I've been able to go on most of the shoots and get to meet people in person. But
Very cool.
yeah. And yeah, Martin.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I love him.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
And you know what? He is truly one of the genuine that, like, to hear him tell his story, his encounter, like I was sitting around a fire with him when he did, and there is no doubt in my mind that it's 100% true. You know what I'm saying? Like you just, and you know him as a person, and like he's just, yeah, as honest and as true as they come.
Well, and Martin, as he said there, like when his story came out, I spent time talking with him prior to him feeling comfortable enough to even come forward with the story. So he was one of those people that didn't come to me. He didn't seek me out. I sought him out. And then even then, when I first sought him out, he was like, I don't know, you know, there's a lot on the line for me. Yeah, I don't know. That was a big green flag for me when it came to stuff, was that he
yeah,
was like,
I agree. I agree.
You know, it keeps coming back in just about everybody I talk to, whether it's, you know, podcasters or guests and everything. It's the people that you meet, and then the people that they introduce you to, and it kind of all grows out to there. And you know, I'm just really thankful, and like both of you, I mean, I've become friends with a lot of the people in chat and people that I've met through all this, and it's just it's an awesome community. And we all just, you know, we're all looking for the same thing, and it's so neat to see people, you know, come out and tell their story, like they all do. So I really do, you know, I appreciate you coming on here, and grateful that to meet you, and looking forward to meeting everybody else and seeing you in Richmond in September next year. So
yeah, I'm excited.
Now I want to get back to the UFO Revisited. That's one of my favorite shows on Small Town Monsters.
Yay!
Because I love all this stuff, but I think I have more of a place in my heart for UFOs. That sounded weird. But Tell me a little bit about how that show kind of came about.
So Aaron Deese had this really awesome idea. I just lost my video for a second on my
That
end.
was
For just
weird.
a second, but you're back.
Okay. So
Aaron
Aaron
Deese,
Deese
that's what I heard.
Aaron Deese had an amazing idea of what if we get people together around like a round table format and have a discussion of some of these topics that are, some of them are relatively well known, others aren't talked about as much, but they're still well known. They're not super obscure or anything. And we just kind of revisit these stories from ufology and, just get a handful of people together and see what happens. And we were like, Aaron, that's a great idea. He came on as director, and Courtney Breedlove also came on as director, and I got to be a director on that one. That was my first time being director. So the three of us together got this panel together, and we told Aaron, you're going to be a great host, sir. Obviously, because I can't think of a better host really than Aaron. And he knocked it out of the park. Those intros, by the way, the intros and the outros that Aaron did, he like wrote them on the flight there to Ohio, because we filmed this in Ohio.
Wow.
He like wrote the intros, like memorized them right away, and it was like one take for most of those. He just did those on the fly. Yeah.
Wow.
Super
That's
impressive.
talent. That's talent.
That is talent.
Right. But we were excited to get everybody to sit down and have Mike Hanks there, Katie Page, Ron Murphy, obviously. And then we were able to, because of scheduling, Mark Matsky was there for some of the recordings, and then Seth took his place when Mark couldn't be there. And then I got to be on the panel, but I was horribly ill during those filmings.
Oh, wow.
So if you notice, I think it's hard not to, but I don't really say much on the filming. And that's because for me to speak sent me into a coughing fit, and we'd have to pause recording.
Oh, wow.
And wait, we actually didn't record everything that we wanted to. We cut it by one episode, because I had gotten into such a horrible coughing fit, I nearly passed out. And we're like, you know what?
Goodness.
We're not even going to make everybody sit down for another recording.
Wow.
Please don't take my lack of discussion on that as lack of enthusiasm for the topic. It was literally me just trying to preserve everybody by not communicating. So yeah,
Wow.
it was fun. We shot it over 3 days. Yeah, it was a 3-day film shoot.
That makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
Yep. And so that's why sometimes we have the same outfits on from one show to another. We didn't put them out in the order that they were filmed in, but we shot them in a series of 3 days, and we'd get there around 9 a.m. and be done around 4:00 in the afternoon.
Wow.
Each day. And on that final day, actually, we wrapped up, I think, closer to 3, and then Micah and Katie and Aaron all had to fly home that afternoon.
Wow.
So it was a really quick process.
Wow. Yeah, I never would have thought that. Looked like you guys, not at all.
See, I kind of come from a video production background, so that kind of stuff, I completely understand that, and I think it is so cool, knocking out so many shows in one sitting. That's pretty cool, and that's got to be really. Was it confusing to be talking about this stuff, kind of prepping for one thing and then do it, and then all of a sudden you're onto something else?
Well, it wasn't too bad because we had prepped ahead of time. I mean, we knew what order we were going in. So each day we would say, okay, on day 1, we're going over these 5 topics. So everybody kind of had that in order. And we also gave everybody the order in which we were filming them in. So everybody knew, all right, as soon as we sit down, we're talking about Eisenhower, or we're talking about Veggie Man, or whatever it may be. And we knew how the day would play out. So it wasn't too bad, actually. I had everything in front of me. Like, if I'm amazed at like Micah Hanks's ability to just pull stuff from wherever his bank of memory is. But if you look at like the tables, you can see I have an entire binder in front of me of every every topic that we were going through, and then notes that I'd written on it. Not that I got to say much, but I had this entire binder in front of me. Ron had some notes, but not many. And then like Aaron would have notes for the intro and outro. But then when they pan over to Katie and Micah, neither of them have anything on their table. They just, whatever. It was fine for them. We could flip from one topic to another, and they were cool with it. So,
and just
like,
they
man, that's
don't miss
impressive.
a beat either. That's amazing.
Yeah, just go with it.
Yeah,
not at all.
Awesome.
I mean, Micah even brought an outfit for when we did the Men in Black episode. He brought an MIB suit to change into.
That's awesome.
So, yeah,
no, that's dedication. That's great.
Yeah.
Yep, for sure. Well, you have a question, and that will lead it into something else here.
Okay.
Because I think I know what Bristol's talking about. Heather, how weird was it to literally film a series investigation in your backyard?
It was a lot of fun, actually. Because it was like having everybody from the STM family, well, not everybody, but most of us here. And just we got to hang out while we filmed this really cool stuff here at the property. So it was actually a lot of fun. It wasn't weird. And that the beginning of filming, because we're talking about the Bigfoot project here. I mean, that was, I guess the weirdest thing was that was my first time meeting Eli and Alex in person.
Oh, wow.
Because they had just got done filming a very long trip out west that they had done together for Beyond the Trail. And they drove in from that here. There was still dust on the back of Alex's car from the deserts in like Nevada or wherever they were from.
Wow.
And that was my first time meeting them in person. So that was probably the weirdest thing, but that wasn't even weird because it was like I knew them from watching them on all this stuff and then having meetings and whatnot. I felt like I knew them when I met them.
Right.
But no, it wasn't weird. It was a lot of fun, and I don't know. I think that would be cool if we could ever do something like that again. That would be sweet.
So do you have current activity in the Bigfoot sense there?
That's the problem is that there was a lot of activity in the area when we were filming, and then it died down around hunting season. So around this time a few years ago, it died around hunting season. Some stuff happened over the winter, but not too much, and into the spring, not too much. But then that summer, some oil and gas well digging occurred nearby, and then their big pipelines came in and stuff. And so some of the woods that we had filmed in don't exist anymore. It's a big pipeline. So stuff had been kind of quiet. Now there were some weird things that happened this summer, which I had only gone back out to pay attention to it because someone had said, well, in their experience, if you give it a couple years after the oil and pipeline come in, like when everything dies down, sometimes they come back into the area. And so this summer we were out a few times, and we'd heard some knocks, heard some stuff walking around or whatever, but I didn't see anything as far as that goes. And it wasn't enough for me to be like, Seth, get out here.
Right. No, I hear you.
So maybe next summer, I don't know. I mean, I can go out in the winter. It's just it's so cold, and we didn't have a lot of activity in the winter anyway.
Gotcha.
That I don't want to really tuck in for a lot of. That's just me being selfish. I don't want to tuck in for a lot of research when it's freezing outside.
Right.
Oh, come on.
I hear you. But you want to give them time to come back too. So maybe,
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I did was, because I still put out, well, I shouldn't say still put out. I have what had kicked all of it off was that when we first moved here, I had put like crystals and things out in the woods because I thought it would be cool for my kids to come across it someday when they were exploring the woods, like hidden treasures. And after some weird stuff had happened here, I went and checked where those crystals were, and some of them had been moved. One of them was gone, and in its place was a deer vertebrae. And that's kind of where, between that and other activity, I was like, Seth, something's going on. You should come out here. And then that kicked off the Bigfoot project. Well, those crystals are still out in the woods in various places. And Seth had come by to film some, what was he filming? a lot of the recreation shots, like in the Bigfoot suits and the Dogman suits and stuff, a lot of that is filmed out here at the farm. And so they were out filming something like that, I believe. And Seth had walked the trail. And after he left, I went back out and my crystals had been moved, but he didn't do it because he didn't even see them because I have them hidden. But it was shortly after he left that the crystals were moved again. So I was like, ooh,
Wow.
something's starting.
Very cool.
But like I said, not enough for me to be like, get out here, bring the cameras, let's go.
Sure. Yeah. So it's the cabin, is that on your property?
Yeah.
Wow.
Cool. Yeah, we've got about 300 acres here.
Wow.
So it's back in the woods by a little pond.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's awesome. Nice.
Do you still do regular investigations, ghost hunts and Bigfoot?
Yeah.
Do you have a any kind of creepy encounters that you can share with us?
So I mean, we've had this stuff happen here, which pretty much all the weirdest stuff that happened here, Bigfoot wise, was recorded, thankfully, on the Bigfoot Project. So there was that Bigfoot wise. But when it comes to like paranormal stuff, I mean, there's been weird stuff that's happened here at the house, but then there's been things that have happened when I go out on investigations. And so one of the weirdest things that I've encountered when I've been out was this like light being. This was in Mansfield Reformatory, which is where Shawshank Redemption was filmed, over in Mansfield, Ohio, or Ohio State Reformatory. I guess it depends on who you talk to, what they say it, or how they call it.
Is that the one you went to with Brandy?
Yeah, and Brandy got to see it too, which was really awesome. But it's like the reverse of a shadow figure. It's in a completely dark room.
Oh. Okay.
There are no windows in the room. You turn all the lights off, whatever, and you start to see lights bounce around the room, which is what had drawn us to the room initially, was the stories of hearing lights illuminate in the room. But then what illuminated was, after those lights were done, what illuminated was a full humanoid figure made of light that it would walk back and forth. It would walk toward us. It would get down on all fours. It crawled at us, which was not cool. But when it was near the wall and stuff, it was bright enough that it would illuminate the wall. So we could tell, even in the dark room, when it was moved close enough to the wall, because you could see the wall. It wasn't bright enough that my crabby phone could pick it up. But which it doesn't do well at night anyway. But anyway, that had shown up when we were filming. After we had got done filming an episode of On the Trail of Hauntings, which was a short-lived series we did for Small Town Monsters, that I got to host. And the crew had just left, and I stayed there with the group that I used to investigate with a good bit. And we had that encounter, and I had told people about it on different podcasts and stuff. And then Brandy got to come and invited me to join her at Mansfield, and we got to see it again. So it's still there, even though that was years apart that I had those encounters. It was validating, for one.
Right.
Brandy got to experience it. But Brandy and the other women that were in the group, they all saw it. And so I'm like, see, I'm not crazy.
Not crazy. I have more witnesses.
That's right. More witnesses. You've all seen it now.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I know Brandy was real excited when that all happened, because we actually did a show on that.
Yeah.
After you guys got back, I think you came on, didn't you?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, we talked about it.
Yep. Yeah. Very cool.
So that was probably one of the most unnerving things, just because it shouldn't exist. I mean, it's like, I would imagine anybody having any type of cryptid experience, you see something that shouldn't exist.
Right.
And so that was also one of those pivotal moments where, once I had that experience, I'm like, okay, well, I can't rule out much else now, can I? Because I literally just experienced this oddity that shouldn't be real.
Right. Right.
So,
wow.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Which do you prefer doing? Ghost investigations, Bigfoot, or any kind of cryptid, really, or UFO?
Ghost. It's definitely ghosts. It would go, if I put it in order, it would go the same way that you said it: ghosts, cryptid, UFOs.
Really?
Not that I've actually looked for UFOs, to be fair. I have not gone out and done any of the contact stuff that I know there are people around here that have tried different things. That doesn't sound, to my knowledge, doesn't sound that much different than when you do the Estes method in paranormal investigation, to do contact with alien life.
5 and that kind of thing.
Yeah, that. It doesn't sound that much different to me when I hear people describe it. I haven't even done that, so that would have to go on the bottom of my list. But
are you open to that
stuff? I maybe, because of those three
is because the lady that her group that's doing the ghost hunt for us that weekend, she's a big UFO gal, and she does the CE5 too, and she brings her lasers. So yeah, we can I saw my first UFO with her at Malvern Manor. True story.
Really?
Yeah.
See, of the three things, I feel like UFOs unsettle me the most. The idea of.
Me too.
So I don't know if I would be up for that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe. Probably.
Yeah. I just, I don't want them to abduct me, so I don't want to get put on their radar,
Well,
see,
yeah. That's
for some reason that doesn't bother me as much. I mean,
really?
I think I'd be more frightened or scared of a dog man or something like that than a UFO coming down. But I mean, I don't know if I want to see them both, but from a distance, maybe not on a ship.
Right. Well, I can see how it makes more sense. Like for our brains, it makes more sense for UFOs to be a thing because they're coming from somewhere else. So they theoretically could be anything or have any kind of technology. They're from somewhere else, where like a dog man or a Bigfoot, what? That's here on Earth. What? No.
I'm with you.
I see that.
Now, what do you think? Are all three of these kind of similar, where there could be?
I think.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that there's an overlap between them in that I think that we are never going to have a clear answer on any of them until we all start talking together and stop with the different camps. Well, I'm UFO, so I can't talk to the cryptid community, or, I'm paranormal, so I'm not going to talk to the UFO people or whatever. I think that there are too many similarities between the three that we're not going to get solid answers until we all start talking. I think that they could all be different things occurring, but there's just too much overlap between some of these things that I don't know how they're not intertwined.
I agree. Yep. And that's why, a lot of people have encounters at cemeteries, and, there's dogmen seen there and, things like that. I mean, it just.
Well, I also wonder sometimes if stuff manifests to us differently depending on what we're open to seeing, or what is going to make a different impression on us, which I think might account for why some people have one experience over another, but they're at the same time. Some people may see a Bigfoot, but others may just see a ball of light or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah. No, I
don't know.
Were you one of those that, was the flesh and blood girl, or were you always kind of believe they're intertwined?
Probably when I was younger, I thought flesh and blood just because I wasn't really thinking about a connection to other things. But now, see, this is tough because some of the people I know that are literally out in the field way more than I am will say that it's flesh and blood. And I trust them and their expertise on things. But also from the researcher's perspective and talking with witnesses and hearing some of the different stories, it's hard for me to say it's just flesh and blood because there's too many other oddities that have come along with it that don't really fall in, unless there's something about them that we just don't understand yet, which is possible.
Yeah, it is.
So for me right now, just based on, and this is purely based on the stories that I've heard from other people and their experiences,
Mhm.
not my personal experiences, because I don't have enough to come up with an idea. Yeah. I can't stick to just flesh and blood with them. No.
Yeah, I'm with you. I was strictly flesh and blood. And then, you meet so many people, or I've met so many people, that credible people that have their encounters, and it's not flesh and blood, Bigfoot Michigan Rob, for example, look at his encounter,
Mhm.
I mean, there's nothing flesh and blood about that. And so, and I just, too many credible people that have these weird experiences that are credible. So it's kind of swayed me,
Mm-hmm.
big time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
Is there one location that you have on a bucket list that you haven't gone to yet, to either ghost hunt or Bigfoot hunt or what?
Yeah. So I would love, there are 2 places ghost hunting wise that I haven't been to yet that I really want to. And one
Ray
of them
County
is
Museum.
Waverly. No. No. That'll be fun though. That'll be fun. Waverly Hills.
Waverly. Mm-hmm. It's a good one.
And Trans-Allegheny.
Mm-hmm.
Those are 2 that I really would like to go to someday. Even if I could investigate, I haven't seen them in person yet. So
Yeah.
I've been nearby, but I haven't been in the buildings.
Yeah.
I would love to see those 2 again.
Yeah.
As far as like Bigfooting and stuff, it would be tough to beat going back to Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was such an amazing time. But I don't necessarily going back to Alaska to be around the people and hear the stories, but not necessarily go out looking, because there's too many things in Alaska that might want to kill me.
Right. That's not cryptids. Right.
Right. Right.
And it's
cold. It would still be cool to go back. It is. Yeah. It would still be cool to go back though.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be, I would love to see, there's other places in the United States I'd love to see, but not for like Bigfooting reasons. It would just be amazing to go visit. But yeah, so Waverly and Trans-Allegheny, those would be my 2.
It's funny that you mentioned Alaska. I have a friend up there that actually was a guest on my show last year, who's a pilot who saw a possible UFO up there. And we just reconnected about a week or so. Actually, it was right after Thanksgiving we chatted and stuff. And it was interesting talking to him because, he hasn't really seen anything else yet. But just the fact that he can get around in that area so easy is pretty interesting to me, that I might need to call him up sometime and get up there.
Yeah. So Paul, what's on your bucket list to investigate that you've never been to?
That I've never been to?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I would really like to go to Dracula's castle in Transylvania.
That'd be cool.
That I don't know will ever happen, because I don't know if I'll ever make it.
That's far.
Yeah. I would really like to go up to Alaska and kind of explore up there. Just kind of, be in the sky and possibly, with a lot of protection, walk around in the woods there and hunt and stuff. That would be pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Now that you mentioned Alaska,
I want to go to where I've never been, and only because I like the movie too, but is the Stanley in Colorado.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because I'm a huge Stephen King fan too.
Yeah.
And another
I got
place
to drive by it, but I haven't been to it.
See, I never even got to drive by it, and I've been to Colorado several times. I need to do that. Yeah.
Another place that just popped in my head is Tombstone. Was it Arizona?
Oh,
that would be a fun town to be in. To check out.
Go to the OK Corral.
Yeah.
Be cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool. We have a couple questions here in chat. Let's see, little Patty had one here. When you were in Mansfield, did you visit the battlefield or Richland Museum?
I haven't been to either of those actually, but I'm not awfully far from there. I'm closer to Moundsville. If you go between the 2 prisons, I'm closer to Moundsville than I am Mansfield, but Mansfield is not out of the question to drive to on a day trip. So I'll definitely check that out sometime.
Yeah.
In your travels, is there a state or an area that you found to be more haunted than other places?
I don't know about haunted necessarily, but with the most amount of weird stuff that's happened overall would probably be West Virginia. Just because I can't think of a region of West Virginia that I haven't heard stories from, as far as whether it's Bigfoot or ghosts or any other kind of weird cryptid or UFOs in general.
Or feral people.
Yeah, I don't hear too much about feral people, actually. I mean, people bring it up, it gets brought up, but it's not something that I look into a lot. And people don't really talk about it that much. But I don't know. Whenever I was doing research for On the Trail of UFOs Dark Sky, which is set in West Virginia, the whole process of research for that was I set up a map of West Virginia and had it divided into different sections. And there wasn't a single section of West Virginia that didn't have UFO reports. So really, when it came down to it, if they had wanted to film all of West Virginia, if that would have been even feasible, which it wasn't, but if they wanted to, all of West Virginia could have been represented. But we were limited to, what was within a certain range for us to get to. But there's not a place in West Virginia that didn't have weird stuff going on. So.
Yeah. Cool.
Oh.
That's awesome.
I would have thought like Washington, Oregon area would have more, but that's pretty interesting.
They have, yeah. I mean, I know that those places are really known for like the Bigfoot stuff, of course. I've not personally been out there, and to be honest, I haven't put a lot of research into it because that hasn't been the area of my focus for any of our projects since I've been around. I'm sure what you find out pretty quickly when you start looking into these things is basically if you want to find something, you're going to find it in these areas. I can't think of a place that we have talked about potentially filming or researching that hasn't had a Bigfoot encounter somewhere, or a few Bigfoot encounters or UFOs or something, because there's weird stuff happening everywhere.
Yeah.
So.
I got a question for you. What are your thoughts about like intent? As far as even like ghosts, Bigfoot, UFO, if you have good intentions and this and that, do you feel like, maybe like they know that and you kind of call them in type thing? Or what are your thoughts about like intentions and stuff? Because I'm big on that.
Yeah. So from the people that I've talked to that have seemingly regular interactions with things, I think it's definitely about intention. If you go out into the woods and you're open and calm and welcoming, you're more likely to have some sort of experience than if you go out there ready to kill something. When it comes to paranormal stuff, I've seen it in action where if you go in there aggressive, you're going to get aggressive responses back. If you go in there playfully, you get playful responses back. It seems to be a mirror of whatever you put out there.
Yeah.
So I've seen it work, and the UFO stuff I don't have enough knowledge in to speak to. But when it comes to paranormal stuff, I've seen it in action. Whatever you come in there with is what you're getting back.
Exactly.
So if you go in there thinking that this is an evil place and nothing but horrible things are going to happen, it'll happen. Now, I'm not saying that bad stuff doesn't happen even when you go in with good intentions, because I still think that there are bad spirits or, like bad and ill intentions for things that you can't avoid, but it's going to be amplified if you go in there with a negative intention.
Yep.
And I think that works with all areas of life, not just whether you go in the woods or go on an investigation or whatever. It was it's just like if you wake up in the morning and you're in a bad mood, then you're going to stub your toe on the end of the bed and you're going to drop your bowl of cereal in the morning. Like all of these things will just come in succession unless you're in a good mood from the beginning or can wipe stuff away pretty quickly. I think you get out, you attract what you call in.
Agreed.
So,
yep. Agreed.
You know, one place that I was kind of worried about going to that we were at was the Haunted Castle House in Brumley. That was supposed to be a little bit darker than any other places that I've investigated, and really nothing incredible happened. And I think I was a little bit more worried about that. Nothing really terrible happened at all.
You spent all night in the house, so you weren't outside, man.
Yeah,
Outside
except
was
for outside.
crazy.
That was fun. That was cool.
We were there for a ghost hunt, and we were getting like Bigfoot knocks and howls, and it was crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And we weren't doing it. We weren't knocking on trees.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, we were sitting there like, holy cow, you know, it was cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Wrong one. Jilly said, as a medium, I step into everything open, calm, and playful and curious, and I'm mind blown in the best way every time. So yeah, that's pretty true.
Yeah.
Pretty accurate.
Mm-hmm.
I lost it.
You lost it. So you're going to Michigan. You said you talked about that briefly.
Yep. I don't have any details as far as that goes, but yeah, Michigan.
And some dogmen you're going to be doing.
Yep.
So.
It'll be called Dawn of the Dogman. Because so much, originates from that area. So,
yeah, you hear all about the Michigan dogmen all the time.
Yep. It was time to get there. So we're going.
Awesome.
Very
And
cool.
Sinfully actually had a comment on there. If you ever investigate here in Michigan, go to the Orson Star House. It's very active.
Okay. I will write that down.
Sinfully, where is that? I'm not sure where that's at in Michigan.
I don't know. Michigan's a big state.
Yeah, it is a very big state. That's part of the whole research part of it is trying to figure out where in Michigan to go. And I can tell you preliminarily that there are sightings all over the state. So it's not isolated in one area. There may be some areas that are more active than others, but stuff happens all over the place. And I think that's true anywhere.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And it's, people, used to saying, out in the woods that's where these dogmen, these Bigfoot and these creatures are. But there was a dogman sighting right down at the St. Louis Arch, and that's very populated, And so, it doesn't matter where you live or I don't feel, in the country or in the city, it doesn't matter. In Michigan alone, I've heard of encounters in town, of Detroit. So it doesn't matter.
Well, even if they were to just stick to wooded areas, how much of Michigan is wooded?
Right.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot of area to cover.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Somebody mentioned, Uncaged Savage mentioned something about Skinwalker Ranch. What are your thoughts about the Skinwalker Ranch phenomenon and then all these other locations kind of popping up with very, very similar encounters going on in these locations?
So
mutilations and stuff like that.
I think there's something about certain places are definitely hot spots, which Skinwalker Ranch would absolutely be a hot spot. You've got Chestnut Ridge here in PA. Well, I don't say here in PA. I'm not in PA, but I'm close to me in PA. You've got a hot spot on Chestnut Ridge. There are other areas like we're going to be doing the Bennington Triangle. There's all kinds of weird stuff that happens there. So you're up in Vermont with that. I think it's not unheard of to have places that have an abundance of weirdness. I don't know why, though. I think it's something that we don't fully understand. I don't know if it has to do with the earth itself, if it has to do with things that we as people have brought into areas as well, if it's a combination of all of this together. Because also, I think there's something to be said with the more well-known a place is. I've seen this in paranormal stuff, at least. The more well-known a place is, the more visited a place is, the more likely it is that we as humans are bringing things with us to add to what's already there naturally.
Yeah.
So then I think it can easily spiral out of control in a certain way where it's a conglomeration of all kinds of weird stuff because you're bringing in things from all over the place. Yeah, I don't know. I've not been to Skinwalker Ranch. Haven't looked into it a ton. Just briefly, when we were doing stuff for night visitors, did I skim over it a little bit? But
my thing about like Skinwalker Ranch. So Missouri has a place called Marley Woods it's very similar to Skinwalker Ranch, Blind Frog Ranch, Bradshaw Ranch, all those. And the one thing that really disturbs me is the sicknesses that people get at these locations. Like, is it because it's high EMF? Is it, what is the reasoning? Because we had Thomas Winterton on Blondes here. I don't know, it's been several months. He's the farm manager at Skinwalker Ranch, and he had, that growth like in his head. And that was, he believes, from the ranch. He never had that issue before. So like that kind of stuff scares me. That's when I think you're playing with something that, I don't know, you just can't control. When it affects your health like that, it's just not even worth filming a TV show at, I don't think.
Right.
To me personally, I really don't have a desire to go to Skinwalker Ranch or any of those places. You know what I'm saying?
And other people have been injured with all the radioactive things going on up there.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't just him. It was crazy stuff going on up there. I mean, certainly have to be careful going up there.
Yeah.
Greg Ogles, another filmmaker, and who will also be at the Crossing Realms conference. When you guys film, do you all experience equipment issues and battery failure?
So when we did hauntings, I feel like the battery stuff happened maybe once or twice, but not often. I know, like, not paranormally related or cryptid related, just when we've been out and it's cold, the batteries drain a lot faster in the cold than they do if we're filming during the warm months. But no, nothing super weird that I can think of. But also, I mean, stuff has happened, because I can think of times when we've been interviewing people and weird stuff has happened and they're like, this happens all the time around me. It doesn't normally happen with us. So yeah, I mean, it has happened every once in a while, but it's not like a regular occurrence.
What about when you guys were at the LBO? Because I was actually at the LBO with Greg when he was filming his cryptic expeditions, and he was having some equipment failure there. And I know you guys, been to the LBO.
We've been there a couple times, and I can't think of a situation where we had equipment issues while we were filming. Wow. So we've been fortunate in that way, because that's also irritating as a filmmaker, that your camera isn't wanting to work, or all of a sudden your data is corrupted and you've lost so much footage that you've already filmed. So I get it.
So that actually did happen to Greg. Like, I spent 4 days there with him, and he went back like a couple of weeks later, and he lost all that other footage from when he went back.
That's heartbreaking.
He captured some good stuff,
Yeah. So that's heartbreaking stuff when that kind of thing happens, for sure.
Yeah, I actually had that happen with a EVP recorder at the LBL. So me and another gal, we were at the alleged kill site. There was a bunch of us there that night, and we were just running an EVP session, kind of asking, about dogmen, killing the family, blah 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 blah. But so we actually heard an audible. I mean, it was crazy. And another gal, Michelle, she was also running her recorder. So the next day we go to listen to them, and both of our recorders wiped out. Nothing.
That's wild.
And that was there at the alleged kill site. So,
well, like, this just reminds me of we have a show on our YouTube channel called Paranormal Horizons, which the guys from Wild and Weird, West Virginia, Joe Perdue and Ron Lanham, are the hosts of that, and they have looked into some weird stuff in West Virginia. But one of their most recent episodes, they'd noticed there was an actual connection between how their equipment behaved versus if they were talking about the phenomena at the time. So almost like it acknowledged that it was being talked about, and their equipment would respond in such a way. which I found fascinating because then it seems like there's an intelligence to some of this stuff, and
Sure.
it can affect things if it wants to. And
Mhm.
I think that's all the kind of stuff that we're only going to have answers when people take the time, like Ron and Joe did, to look into that.
Mhm.
But only if you got to notice it, and then you got to spend the time focusing on it. Otherwise, it'll just be something you look over.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Wow, that makes sense.
This has been a fascinating show. I'm
Mhm.
so thankful that you came on here. I'm so glad that I reached out to you and everything. We got a couple more questions in the chat that
Okay.
people ask. Do you believe in Bigfoot talking telepathically with some people, or is it just made up stories? I find it hard to believe it's possible.
This is one of those things that I don't know because I've not experienced it. However, I will say that there probably is something to the fact that we have our gut instincts that tell us certain things. So I don't find it a stretch to say or to think that somebody saw something unexplainable and their mind thought something it was
Right.
coming from that. So I can see that on like just a strictly, I don't want to say scientific level, but on just a basic level, I can see that happening in our minds coming up with stories like that. But also, I don't know what those things are. So it's hard to say that they can't do that when I don't even know what they are, or what's happening. So, maybe they could. I've experienced weird stuff, so I'm not going to rule anything out.
Yeah.
That does, I mean, to me as well, it sounds like something that you would need to experience to know 100%. And I had on Ernie Davio one time, and he shared his Bigfoot encounter, and it was really, thank you, Sinfully. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Simply.
It was almost like he was communicating with Bigfoot. He was pointing his gun at Bigfoot, and then at one point, I guess Bigfoot kind of had his hands up or palms up or something like that, and they kind of communicated that way, and it seemed like everything turned out fine for him, thank God. But yeah, I mean, it is pretty interesting, I think.
My only thinking is too, like Heather, as you know, like doing paranormal type things, like the negative side of things, they can be tricksters. So
Sure.
I feel like too, like somebody's out in the woods and they really want to talk to a Bigfoot or something, some kind of creature like that. Well, why can't like the negative entity side of things portray themselves as like a Bigfoot, and then you're opening yourself up. You know what I'm saying? Something negative.
Sure.
That's just things like that. I'm not saying, so don't hate me, people. Not saying it doesn't happen, that Bigfoot doesn't do it, but that's just my concern,
Yeah. Right. Well, that's the same as if just having an experience altogether, unless you see, I mean, if we're going to put tricksters on the table, then it's difficult to trust a lot of what you may be seeing or experiencing anyway, because it could be a trickster.
Right.
So it opens up a whole other world.
Sure does.
When you start to involve all of these different things. But yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
Scott's Life, thank you so much for becoming a member. Appreciate you, dude.
Very cool.
Yeah. Well, Heather, this has been one of my top 5 shows. I've really, really, really enjoyed talking with you and getting to know you a little bit here and hearing some of your thoughts on this stuff and your experiences and everything. So really looking forward to meeting you in September and hopefully everybody in chat now. Yeah, we can get everybody to go out there. So that would be awesome.
Be fun. Awesome. Are you guys doing a conference next year? Are you guys doing another conference?
No, we're not doing another Monster Fest. No, not this year anyway.
Gotcha.
It was a lot. It is a lot. So we're taking a break.
I agree.
Yeah. And for those of you who haven't already, make sure that you check out Small Town Monsters. It's a super awesome channel. It has everything that you would ever want. Bigfoot, paranormal,
any kind of creature you want, it's on their channel.
Yeah, it's very, very, very awesome channel. So, Heather, again, thank you very much for coming on. We're going to have you back again
Yeah.
sometime
Anytime.
soon. So, all
Yeah.
right.
Awesome.
Appreciate
Well,
Thank
guys,
you.
a couple of people I want to thank, and make sure that you tune in tonight. BMR is going on at 11 o'clock Central. Krista, you going to be on there tonight?
I'm not. I have to get up early in the morning, so I will not be on Bigfoot Michigan Rob show, but Brandy and Monica will.
Brandy and Monica will. So,
Mhm.
make sure that you stay tuned for BMR. And Donnie Cho is going to be coming on in about 9 minutes. I think he's got Bryden Bowden on.
He does.
So yeah, that'll be fun to see.
Yep.
Before we go, I want to thank Larry Sharp for becoming a new member and then turning around and donating a membership. So appreciate that. Shelly, thank you for the super chat, and thank you, Sinfully Wicked. And then Scott, thank you so much for becoming a member. So, and I appreciate all you guys for donating that stuff, and I also appreciate you guys for just tuning in. It means a lot to me that you guys take time out of your schedule to join us here tonight. So, with that being said, everybody have a great rest of your weekend. We will see you right back here next Saturday. I believe Pancho is going to come on. Pancho Zorch is going to come on. Talk about his Bigfoot encounter and more. So, yep. So everybody have a great night. Thank you guys for tuning in. Heather, once again, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
All right. See you guys. Have a good night.
Yeah.